We're going to jump right in this week. Hi, I'm Renee Flamand with setting boundaries, and how when people think of setting boundaries, I think they maybe don't quite understand. It is all for your protection that you're setting boundaries. It's all for your protection. You're good enough to have boundaries in place, firmly in place for yourself. You are good enough to have a barometer or parameters, below which you will not fall. You're good enough, and I'm not saying the guy has to have brown hair, he has to be 6 feet tall, that's not what I mean. I'm talking about the inside of a person, certain things in life that you want the person that you're seeking to have or not have, whatever that list is that you've made. I think that they're all valid. Whatever's valid to you is completely different than what's valid to me. I'm 56, have already been married and had my child. You might be 25 and never been married and haven't had your children yet. So your barometer is way different than mine. But whatever they are, those boundaries, please do not fold on them. Because every single time, again, I started this channel to spread awareness and give you examples of what to do to help yourself not be hurt. Every single time I've ever dropped a boundary I had was a mistake. Because the boundaries that I have in place are for the reason that I realized if the boundary, for example, having good relationships with your parents, I think it's important. Or your siblings, I think it's important. And if you don't, now, we're not talking about someone, if you meet someone in the world who was an abused person and they've left their family and parents, because Abuse 101 is get the person out of your life. That's not what I'm talking about. We discuss narcissists here. So if they don't have a relationship with their parents and family or friends or siblings, it's because they wrecked it. Promise, 100%. Not even open for debate. They wrecked it. According to them, they didn't wreck it. And they'll be out in the world talking about, oh, they were mean to me and that's why I don't talk to them. They always have a story. But let's just say that example. If I met someone and they didn't have that, every single time I have folded on that, I realize, because I believe their story, oh yeah, we just don't have a relationship, she was mean to me, whatever. Every single time, over the course of me unfolding, I realized, oh, they're the toxic individual. So I folded on that boundary, didn't take the time to see if there was reason that they didn't have these relationships, jumped right in, finally started meeting the family and the friends and the parents and realized these are lovely people and this person's out of their mind. If you have a boundary that you've set in place for yourself, what ends up happening to me is you end up dating, and if you are in a place of desperation, loneliness, vulnerability, excited to have a relationship, you're going to say, oh, they don't have that, but so what? They have all this. They have all that. They have all this. They're so funny, and he's so cute. Oh, Renee. Oh, Renee. But I don't regret anything. I love my path. It led me here. But I am trying to save you the trouble. Your boundaries are for your protection, and they're very important that you set them. It's very important that you hold firm to them and not give way and forget that you set them for reasons. I set my boundaries. All my boundaries are set for reasons, right? So again, at age 56, not 25, a homeowner might not be your parameter. At 56 years old, the guys that I'm going to date, I dated couch surfers who were 63 years old, living like a frat boy, own nothing. And they don't even rent anything. Their name's not even on a lease. They just bop around and pay this friend and move in with that friend. 63. And I excused that away. Turns out, no, they were, I don't like the word loser, but loserific in life, and they couldn't have a home because their credit score was XYZ and their funds were depleted and they were scamming people all over the place, and that's how they end up on a couch surfing at 63 years old. So forgive me, but unless you have a good reason to rent, you move somewhere, you're transitioning, you're in between homes, but I find that to be a red flag. at my age, that you don't want roots somewhere, that you don't want a stable place. You don't want a homestead for your children to come visit you. You don't want a place that your parents can come visit. Like, I don't know. That's a red flag to me. It might not be a boundary to somebody who's 25. Maybe you're not a homeowner yet either, and you plan on doing it together when you meet someone. See what I mean? But whatever your boundary, I folded on that one a million times, only to find out, no, I'll never fold again. And it has nothing to do with money. That is not what we're talking about. Nothing to do with money. But to me, owning a home at age 63 shows, again, responsibility, adulthood, adulting, putting roots down. You're a nomad if you're couch searching at 63. I don't want to date a nomad at 63 who lives here for 3 months. And are you out of your mind, Renee? But I dropped it. I forgot that. No, Renee, you're good enough to have that as a boundary. You can keep that as a boundary, and it doesn't say anything about you. I remember Oprah used to say, does he have a job? She used to say that, number one, off the topic of any kind of show that was about dating. She said, he's got to have a job. So to her, that was a boundary. The guy's got to have a job. So whatever yours is, now at my age, the guy might not have a job. He might be retired, right? So, but you're good enough. I want you to understand whatever it is that you have in your mind, not superficial things, not a certain amount of money. If somebody is an honest, hardworking, ambitious, any job that is an honest day's work is admirable. This isn't talking about, well, my barometer is I want to marry a doctor. That's not what I'm talking about. Because I would take an honest teacher all day long over a narcissist doctor. All day long and twice on Sunday. So we're not talking about a certain job you want them to have. We're not talking about a certain amount of money. That's not the boundaries I'm talking about. I mean the ones that you put in place for your protection and you know what they are, right? Has he cheated on his past partners? Maybe that's a boundary you have and you want to get that information, although they'll lie about that. They will lie about that. But if they tell you who you are and they've told you, yep, I cheated through 2 marriages, 15 years apiece, believe them. Tell you who you are, believe them. Oh, okay. And I took the love bombing that we talked about last week. Oh, but I would never cheat on you. I've never loved like this before. I could never cheat on you. I cheated on both my wives. But I would never do it to you. And I believed it. No, my barometer now is I don't want someone of that ilk. I don't want someone with that character. So whatever your boundaries are, just remember, you're good enough to have them and don't budge. Don't budge.